Real quick, Coach Mack, we'll start as we did yesterday, the passing of our friend Ramey Steins, who, and I said yesterday too, in so many worlds you've got an outpouring of support to the family and emotions and sadness. And we saw it yesterday on a local level, a friendship level, when Brian Bailey was here, and he and Ramey were very, very close friends. And I appreciate Bailey coming on here and saying some words. But we also saw an outpouring on social media from the basketball world with I saw Tom Crean and Seth Greenberg, but also the official pages of North Carolina, Duke, West Durham put out a statement. And as I mentioned, I always remember Woody Durham when he would announce the refs calling him Raymond Steins. He didn't call him Ramey. He called him by his real name, Raymond Steins, on the call tonight. But, man, it's very rare. And I feel like this was said about Ramey when he was alive, that he had so many friends in the coaching world. I don't know. Maybe it's like that, Coach. You can speak to it. But for a referee, he seemed to get along with a lot of people. But just a great guy. And I'm sure you coached in some Ramey Steins games over the years.
I actually have, Ramey's first Division I game, he called our game at Chattanooga at UNCG. And
wow.
Jim Birch, who was the head of officials in the Southern Conference, called me and said, listen, I've got this young guy. I think he's going to be good. I've put him in your game tonight at UNCG, and I need you to call me after the game and tell me how he did. And it was just strange because after the game at UNCG, there was a long hallway and then another long hallway to the visitors' locker room, but down that long hallway was also the officials' locker room. So after the game, after everybody leaves, I'm headed to the bus. Team's already out. Here comes Ramey, and so I speak to him and told him about my conversation with Jim Birch, and we were friends from that point on.
That's awesome.
It was actually a difficult game, and he handled himself well, as he continued to do for a long time. But Ramey and I have been good friends for a long, long time. And like you said, I don't know if it's unusual. Probably maybe the word is unusual to be really good friends with an official. But Ramey is also one of those guys who was good friends with a ton of people.
Yeah.
He was that kind of guy, and I am so glad. Last Tuesday, after I did the show, as I'm leaving, he's coming up to the front door, and we had a big hug and good conversation, and got to catch up a little bit because we hadn't talked in a month or so, something like that, and I'm so glad in hindsight that we did see each other, and it was. I was absolutely shocked, and I've been on the phone today with so many officials. Whether it's Brian Kersey or Les Jones, two of Ramey's very best friends, and names that all the basketball fans here will recognize. And I could name so many more. I know a whole group is coming in tomorrow. Some have already been here. Came Sunday night. That's the kind of impact Ramey had on a lot of people, and he did so many things that you don't know about, like Bill Roth. The voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies, and Mike Burnip, the color guy for a long
Great
time
guy,
there.
Yeah.
They made an offhand comment one time on the air about liking Parker's barbecue. They never had a Ramey Steins game that they didn't get Parker's barbecue delivered.
Wow.
And of course, he went out of his way to make sure nobody knew about it. He didn't want either coach knowing about it.
So favoritism there.
So
that's cool.
But he went out of his way after every game that he did for them, which he worked. I looked at the record the other day. He worked maybe 60-some Virginia Tech games. Every single time he worked a Virginia Tech game, home or away, those guys got Parker's barbecue, I'm sure there are a million stories like that about Ramey, and he is certainly already missed and will be missed going forward. At his age, still performing at an incredibly high level. I talked to a couple operations guys today. They said, when we saw Ramey's name on the assignment sheet, we knew we were going to have a good game. You may not go our way, but they felt confident that the game would be administered correctly and fairly and without incident.
Really neat. The legacy lives on too with his son Trey. Have you called any games?
Yeah,
yet with Trey?
I have,
cool.
and Trey's going to be really good.
Yeah.
It's good news and bad news that you're Ramey's son. I'm sure it opens a door, but also there's a standard there too. But Trey, I can say pretty unbiased from an unbiased point of view. He's really going to be very good.
A relative of mine was an official, Terry Nobles. I saw.
Oh yeah,
he
Terry,
commented, and you have
we touched base.
Speaking relationship with him.
Yeah.
So, Mac, I'm curious. And again, you said Ramey was friends with just about everybody because of the kind of the person he was. But how many officials? I don't know. Could you put a percentage on it? Are you on speaking terms with? And how many, do you just dislike? It's got to be a low number, I would think, if any, that you truly dislike, right?
Now I'm on speaking terms with all of them.
Right. It's a little different when you're in the game than when you're out.
Yeah. And I tell them every time, it's strictly the point of view. It's if you're sitting on one side of the court, I think you all are pretty good. If I'm sitting on the other side of the court,
sure.
I don't think you're very good. But yeah, it's like a reunion anytime I'm doing a TV or radio game now where I get to see and talk to those guys and some I like better than others.
Mack McCarthy joining us. Yesterday, we talked about Jim Harbaugh a little bit.
For sure.
In terms of. And he had some comments on so this Michigan thing, Coach Mack, is, I guess, carrying over into another year with Connor Stallions, with the cheating and all that. Do you know the details on what could end up happening with Sharon Moore and the team itself?
Yeah, well, the thing with Moore is he's already been guilty of a violation, so this would be double jeopardy for him. And I don't know whether they were level 1 or level 2, infractions, but I mean, it's just the fact that he erased the day the Connor Stallion stuff broke. The fact that he erased 50 plus text messages. That's not how an innocent person acts.
I watch a lot of true crime, Coach Mack.
Yeah.
And I've seen that story before.
Yeah. And people are saying, well, nothing will happen. Well, that's possible because the NCAA doesn't win in court very often. But the arrogance of these people and the fact that they say, well, they still won, they still won the big games without him on the staff and all this kind of stuff. But think of what he did by establishing the winning. And, look at Harbaugh's record before Connor Stallions joined the staff and after he joined the staff. And the fact that they won and then got better players and started winning again. Yeah, they maybe beat some teams they would have beaten anyway, but that's not the point. If it's a rule, then it's a rule. And Harbaugh, his arrogance is just unbelievable because, I know you've heard the sound and all that kind of stuff, but, he refused to cooperate. That's the same as lying to me. The fact that you won't answer their questions, you won't meet with them, you won't tell your side of the story, to me, that's just as good as a lie.
In this case, yeah. I will say, once again, going back to true crime documentaries, it is smart to retain a lawyer.
Sure.
And instead of just answering every question.
But this is a voluntary organization. The NCAA is a voluntary organization. You accepted the rules and playing under these guidelines, and now you refuse to cooperate with them. The NCAA has not been a great organization. They haven't handled things well in a lot of situations, but they still are enforcing the rules. And I don't understand, how he can just flaunt his whatever.
Yeah, so I don't trust any of these coaches. I told y'all that with Schlossnagel, whatever his name was. You can't trust him. Now that Coach Mack isn't coaching anymore, I can trust him finally. For years I didn't. But some of these statements these guys make, coaches and players, sometimes you just got to believe them. Like when Rafael Palmeiro sits there and points his finger, said, "I did not use steroids, period." That's a guy you got to believe. Now, it turned out he was lying, but he said it so adamantly, Coach. And now we get to Jim Harbaugh and what he had to say yesterday, quadrupling down on he had nothing to do with anything. Shirley, can we hear those comments?
Never lie, never cheat, never steal. I was raised with that lesson. I have raised my family on that lesson. I have preached that lesson to the teams that I've coached. No one's perfect. If you stumble, you apologize, and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware, nor complicit in those said allegations. So for me, it's back to work and attacking with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Okay. Can I comment on that real
Please.
quick? The fact that he didn't know, if he's telling the truth, didn't know, wasn't complicit, whatever, that doesn't make a damn. If you're the head coach, you are responsible for everything that happens in your program. And I don't know any head coaches who would not have been aware of this anyway. But even if he's telling the truth, he's guilty because it happened on his watch.
Maybe he didn't go out and tell Connor Stallions to do this. But like you said, if something happens in your basketball program that you didn't authorize, but you eventually find out about it, you know it's going on, right? I mean, they can't keep something that big away from the head coach.
The guy standing there on the sideline telling the offensive and defensive coordinator what's coming. Do you think Harbaugh just didn't notice?
He's so locked into the game, Coach. He didn't notice.
But again, let's give him the benefit of the doubt,
Okay.
which I would not if I was the juror. But even if he didn't know at all,
right,
it's still his responsibility. That's the rule.
Old khaki pants, says
Old
Jamie.
khaki pants.
The old Coach Mack reference there. Tyler said, yeah, he didn't do it. He just had someone else hold the bag. I mean, for him to be this adamant is crazy. Either he knows that he has erased all ties to him and there's no way they can connect him and find him guilty. Because what's going to happen if he's proven guilty? Do we all just kind of forget about these comments and it doesn't matter? Because he has moved on. He's in the NFL now.
And the IT people that I know say you can erase those text messages,
right,
but they're somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And if they are and there's references to him, then he could be in even bigger trouble. But and not all of this is about Connor Stallions, too. Some of this is what they were doing during COVID in recruiting.
Right, yeah.
You know, this isn't all about Connor Stallions.
Is that what Harbaugh got suspended for?
Yes.
Yeah, he got suspended for something different.
Well, he got suspended two different things. He got suspended for some of that early.
At the beginning of the year.
And then he got suspended at the end.
Yeah. And then was allowed to coach in the playoffs, right?
Right, yeah. He missed the last 3 regular season games, yeah.
Yep.
He coached in 6 of the 12 regular season games, yeah.
Not a bad gig if he can get it. And then he, again, pulls the Pete Carroll and moves on to the NFL.
Yeah, and that's tough for the NCAA to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, because what do you do? He can't get back in college. He'll never come back to college anyway. But Sharon Moore, if I was him, I'd be a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I guess if you're Sharon Moore, you can't like pass up the opportunity to be the Michigan head coach. But hindsight, and again, it depends on who's offering what's out there. But would it have been better for him to move on and try to escape all this stuff like Harbaugh?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this is probably his best place where he may be able to avoid prosecution or penalties or whatever you want to call it.
Why is that? Why do you say that?
Because it's immense. It's in Michigan's best interest that he's not guilty. If he had taken a job somewhere else, it may not have been in their best interest.
So they're going to do everything they can now that he's the head man, blame somebody else under him or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens here, and I feel like we're having the same conversations we had a year or so ago, less than a year ago, with do We have postseason bans. Like, what comes of this? Moore's going to get suspended just like Harbaugh was.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody that has been impacted by the NCAA enforcement staff has just sued and won. They just, it goes away.
Yeah.
So maybe Michigan can do it again. I don't know. But I think it's a much bigger deal. And of course, I'm still in the camp where these same people are saying, well, what Reggie Bush did isn't against the rules anymore. It was against the rules when he did it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Ohio State kids trading jewelry for tattoos or whatever they were doing. I mean, those things were against the rules then. You can't just go back and change those things.
I 100% agree. Do you think, just speaking on Reggie Bush, did he deserve to have his Heisman Trophy taken away?
I think a Heisman Trophy is a whole different deal.
Yeah,
I don't think that has anything to do with it. But the fact that USC got punished, I think that was totally appropriate.
Yeah, you can't pull a 83 NC State and say now that these things are happening, we deserve it because we didn't get those opportunities 40 years ago.
Yeah,
they're suing for.
Yeah, and like we talked about, the lawsuit House versus NCAA only goes back to 2016 because of the statute of limitations on those kind of complaints.
All right, Mack McCarthy joining us, Pirate Radio Studios. Sean, let's do a quick thumb through with Coach Mack. We still got a ways to go as we try to knock out all these teams, and we've done Penn State. We have done Temple. We've done West Virginia.
Wow.
Have we done the Wahoos? This is not a good one for Coach Mack. I immediately thought of the Barber brothers, Tiki and Rondé.
Yeah, whose dad, James, played while I was in school at Virginia Tech.
So at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
What was that like when his boys went to Virginia?
It was hurtful.
I think of
Kurt Benkert.
Kurt Benkert. Was it George Welch?
Yes.
Welch.
Yep.
Well, yeah. He was the coach when I was coming up,
and did a great job. Did an incredible job. He and Frank Beamer at one time, they both had things going really well, and of course Virginia Tech was not in the ACC at that time, but they might have been doing the best job of any two coaches in any single state at the time. And Virginia's a tough place to do it at. They just don't have much tradition. They don't have much following. You can buy their season tickets at Costco. They literally you can buy.
I saw that. Yeah.
But they don't fill their place. They've got a beautiful stadium, beautiful campus, great academics, but they have struggled to sustain football while the folks across the state have done a pretty good job until just the last few years, and even then they still dominate that series. But Virginia's a tough job, and I don't know about Tony Elliott. He was high on the list at Virginia Tech at one time to be the head coach. He was high on the list at Tennessee. He's been mentioned for a number of different jobs. Seems like a super guy and a really bright guy, an engineer by trade with his major and all that kind of thing. But they've got a couple quarterbacks. Tony Muskett, the transfer from last year, got hurt, and then the young kid named I think Calandria. They were trying to replace Brennan Armstrong, who went to NC State with mixed reviews, and Calandria was very athletic and didn't throw the ball great. They've recruited okay, but they're being picked last in the ACC, and it's hard to see them doing much better than that.
Phil Steele has them ahead of two teams. Thank you, Stanford, for joining, if you're a Virginia fan. And he's got Duke finishing last with a new coach.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, as Coach Mack would say. Another name I thought of, Coach Mack, going back, one of the most underrated players, a guy I was a big fan of. I think he was underrated because of the NFL team he played for, and also he was not a diva receiver kind of kind of quiet, I think. But Herman Moore was a great player.
Great player. Yeah, great player. They've had some good players through the years. They had a couple of players when I was growing up, guys that way before you all would even know anybody. They had a running back named Frank Quayle. They had a quarterback named Davis who was like, he was all ACC. One of the first running kind of guys that I remember that there was a threat to pull it down and go at any time. And they also had a guy that was the backup for Johnny Unitas a long time named Quazzo.
Quazzo.
I think it was Frank. I don't know if it was Frank. Is something Quazzo.
It's my favorite rapper now. Quazzo.
Really?
I don't know. It sounds like he would be a rapper now. Chandler, what do you got?
Former New Orleans Saints quarterback Aaron Brooks.
Yeah.
He was talented too. He was talented.
Matt Schaub?
Yes, Matt Schaub.
Schaub went there.
Matt Schaub. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a random basket.
And the Packers guy before Favre took over for Mikowski or whatever, I think he was a Virginia guy too.
The Magic Man?
I think he was a Virginia guy.
I did not know that.
I could be wrong.
I'll give you a random basketball name from when I was growing up that I liked a lot for some reason. Junior Burroughs. I was a big fan.
Oh,
of
yeah,
for
Junior was very good.
Yeah. All right, there's our Virginia preview. It's more of a what do we remember about Virginia than a preview. Back with you, Pirate Radio Live on a Tuesday. Coach Mack, I know what we can do. We just did our Virginia preview there, and I don't know if it's because you're close to the Hokies or the ACC that you're able to rattle off multiple quarterbacks for Virginia. But we've got a coaches poll for college football. Can I run them down and you briefly tell us what you know about the quarterback situation?
Sure.
Okay. Let's go to Georgia.
Even if I don't know. Well, I mean, Carson Beck coming back.
They're pretty set.
Yeah, and generally that's a big jump from year one to year two. If there is, Georgia's offense might be among the best in the country.
So they lose Bowers, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, as good as he was, they've got weapons coming out every position. They're going to be really, really good on offense. That first game against Clemson in Atlanta, Clemson better be stout on the defensive side because Georgia, I think they're going to be they will be better offensively than they were a year ago with Brock Bowers.
Wow. All right. There's a statement from Mack McCarthy. Ohio State has their guy returning, right?
No, they don't. They fired their guy, and he's at Syracuse now. And then they brought in Will Howard from Kansas State, who was told, you not good enough to start at Kansas State. So he went to Ohio State and is going to start for the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 team in the country. But they also have Devin Brown to back him up. They also have Julian Sayings, who they stole from Alabama. And then they've got Air, whatever the guy's name is, who was even a bigger recruit than Sayings. They are loaded at quarterback. And there are a lot of folks that don't think Will Howard will be the quarterback at the end of the year there. But I think he's got so many weapons. They've got Chip Kelly, who's going to emphasize the run game. They've got Judkins, who transferred from Ole Miss. They've got Tavion Henderson, whichever one it was. They've got running backs like crazy. They got great receivers again. They also, no matter who the quarterback is, you're going to be great offensively.
So McCord was the guy last year.
Yeah, and he's at Syracuse.
I remember a lot of fans blaming him for the Michigan loss.
He actually had a good year, but he had that one interception late in the game that cost him the Michigan game.
Oregon's got our old left-handed buddy.
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
And interesting, everybody's saying Oregon's going to win because Dylan Gabriel's better than Will Howard. Okay, he might be, but Will Howard has won a conference championship. Dylan Gabriel at UCF or Kansas State, I don't think he won a conference championship either place, despite big numbers.
He was at K-State?
I mean, Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah.
Oklahoma.
Okay.
Sorry.
Texas has their pick of the litter, but looks like it's going to be
Ewers,
not Arch, at least to start.
It'll be Arch if Ewers gets hurt. Ewers has gotten hurt every year he's played.
Milroe back for Bama.
Yeah, and I think this is another one that people are saying, I don't think they're getting enough credit. They're going to be really good. And I think that change, short term at least, will be a good thing. I think especially for Milroe. And again, in his second full year, he's got the reins. A quarterback whisperer as a coach who's done nothing but win. I think Alabama, everybody's talking Texas, everybody's talking this and that. It could very well be Alabama and Georgia again in Atlanta.
Sometimes watching Milroe, it reminded me of high school football where you put your best athlete at quarterback and just let him go. But I'm wondering, Coach, because he's different than Penix, but can, DeBoer, what can he do with Milroe passing?
Oh,
And
I think he can. I
that's
think he
kind of
can
scary.
help.
When you think about it.
Oh, I think he'll have something for him. I really do. That's why I'm so high on Alabama.
All right, number 6. What's Lane Train got?
Lane Train's got the kid back from last year. I'm drawing blank on his name, but a very good quarterback, and he's got a good quarterback room. He's got folks that can start multiple places.
Jackson Dart.
Dart, yeah, from out west, and they're gonna be really good offensively too. They lost Quinshon Judkins to Ohio State, but they got a running back from Miami who I think maybe started at Ole Miss and then went to Miami and then came back, but they're gonna really be good offensively too.
Notre Dame has become that NFL team that has pretty good pieces around them, and they just sign a veteran for 1 year. They've done that now 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
and they got it going again with Leonard, right?
Riley Leonard, Riley Leonard, and they did have a big loss today. They have a starting left tackle who got hurt. He's out for the year, torn pec, and he's out for the season. And that's a little bit of a concern because he was replacing the guy that was a number 5 draft choice, Alt, I think was his name in the NFL, and that's a big loss. I know you kind of plug and play offensive linemen, but that was a big loss. The guy they got hurt yesterday or today.
Running down the some of the top 25 teams and their QB situations. Michigan loses McNamara. What do they have it?
Yeah, and I don't know the new guy's name, but he has been there, and they like him. Some people are really high on him, and some people are not. And I cannot call his name.
Is he good at handing the ball to the running back? Oh man, they got Orgy.
Yeah, that's
Alex
him.
Orgy.
Yeah, that's him.
That's right. That guy killed me on the video game. Penn State.
Yeah, and Haller is was a big name. He was supposed to be a major upgrade from Clifford. He was not, but he does look the part. And again, those guys coming into their second year after they go through the growing pains, I like the kid. I think he's going to be really good.
All right. How about it in Tallahassee? What does the final form of DJ look like? Because
I don't know.
They kind of, I don't know if they ran him out of Clemson, but they kind of did, it seemed like. Played better, I guess, at Oregon State.
Yeah,
So
wasn't asked to do as much at Oregon State.
So what is he now at Florida State?
I don't know. They've got weapons around him, though, and they've got a veteran offensive line, and I don't know. I like Norvell. I think he'll get what he can out of him, but I don't want my paycheck in his hand.
Excuse me for not following as closely as I should, but I feel like if you polled college football watchers, casual watchers, and asked them how many games did Missouri win last year, I don't know if a lot of people would say they went 11-2. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't. What's their QB situation? Do you know? Yeah. Brady Cook.
Yeah, and he's good. He might be the best quarterback in the SEC.
Wow.
Not named Carson Beck. He's very, very good, and they'll miss their little running back that I think went undrafted, but they've got Burden back at receiver. Missouri doesn't play a tough schedule either. They avoid some of the big names. They could absolutely win double-figure games again.
Jaden Daniels is with my Commanders. So what is Brian Kelly doing at QB at LSU?
Well, he has Nussmeier, and Nussmeier can really throw the ball. And I'm not so sure he's not a better pure passer than Daniels was, although Daniels certainly improved. And, of course, Daniels could beat you with his legs. Nussmeier's not going to do that. But they've got weapons. And, it's funny. You have a team like Iowa who wins games with defense, and their offense is just less than mediocre. And then you've got, in the very first game of the year, You've got Southern Cal against LSU with new quarterbacks, and they're both expected to be great offensively. And if either one of them is decent defensively, they're going to be really, really good.
I've seen college football lines. I wonder if we have totals yet. I'd love to see. Oh, we do.
Yeah,
so
they're out there.
While I look that up, we'll go to the next team, and that would be number 13. I'm playing a dynasty with this team, Cam Rising and Utah. He was hurt a lot of last year.
Yeah, and everybody thinks he can just come back. He's a tough guy, big-time leader, and all that kind of thing, but he hadn't played in 2 years. I don't know.
Okay. I
still would pick them to win the Big 12.
Clemson. going into year 2 fully of Club Nick?
Yeah, pretty much. And again, you hope that he's one of those guys that, I mean, this guy was highly recruited, as highly recruited as anybody, and they supposedly have better people around him, but they don't have any receivers that look like Higgins and that bunch that they had a few years ago.
And we'll close it out and we'll continue later. But number 15, what's up in Rocky Top for Heupel?
Well, this guy, if I could say his name, I'd be way ahead of the game. But this guy's really good. He played in the bowl game last year and played super. And he is a dual threat guy, but got great vision. And he was that first one that was supposed to get like $8 million in NIL and flew a Gulfstream in for his visit and all that kind of stuff. And the NCAA tried to charge him, and Tennessee said, no, we have a judge that'll tell you no.
Coach Mack, what is the over-under for LSU and USC on Sunday, September 1st?
I'd say USC is, gosh, they're 8.5. LSU, they're both 8.5.
Wait, I'm saying total points.
Oh, I thought you meant they're over win total.
No. Points in the matchup. LSU
gosh.
and USC.
Oh gosh, if it's more than 2 either way, it's wrong.
Oh, well, okay. I'm asking a different question. LSU is favored by 6. So you say that's nuts.
That's wrong.
I'm talking about total combined points from the teams
in the game. In that game.
Yes.
Oh, and we have that number?
We have the number.
72.
Yeah, I guess we're all going to take the over and have fun. It's 62.5.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get on it now.
Chandler.
Get on it now.
Coach Mack is undefeated lifetime when he disagrees with numbers. So he's basically saying take USC and the over.
USC +6 and the over points.
Yeah.
You got it.
Over, definitely.
Yeah.
Although you just said new quarterbacks, but don't matter. You're not scared of it.
No, this is
USC's not going to tackle anybody. I'm not worried about that.
Nussmeier has played, and the USC guy had 6 touchdown passes in the bowl game.
All right. Let's get it in right now, Chandler. Over. That's our game of the week.
Drive up there to Virginia just for old time's sake.
We hadn't done that in a while, Sean. Coach Mack, enjoyed it, man. As you said during the break, one of these Tuesdays, and it's going to be here in the next, I guess,
the next 2 because
next couple of weeks.
Yeah, because we got games on the 24th.
Week 0. Yeah. So maybe we'll do it next week. We'll just do a quick, a big pick 'em during the whole hour. We'll pick conferences.
Let's do it.
Playoffs. And man, that means we are getting close.
All 9 leagues. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. I cannot wait to see who you got in the MAC this year. You are the MAC.
I am.
The MAC of the MAC.
Return of the MAC.